Hello and welcome to day 3 of the US Open daily shows for the tennis menu. Val Febbo here with you, talking all things US Open and what's happening at the Billie Jean King Tennis Centre in Flushing Meadows. It's been a day of perseverance coming through, with Andy Murray winning his first Grand Slam match since 2017. It's been a long time coming for Andy Murray, but God, it's good to see him back. Brilliant performance by him to come back from 2-0 down against Yoshihito Nishioka and save a match point. Chris O'Connell as well, 89 match wins last year, more than Novak, more than Medvedev, more than Rafa, and he's come back and won his first ever Grand Slam match. But this show wouldn't be what it is without this man, the best high performance coach in the game. You don't really want to listen to anybody else. Moratoglu can get behind this man in line because his name is Marc Sophoulis, and there's only one man that you need to listen to about coaching, and this is him. How are you, Marc?
I'm very well, Val, and pretty much feeling like I won't get through the door when I finish this show because my head's going to be that big after that pump up. But I do appreciate it, and as always, you do a great job of hosting this show. I'm just here for the ride, and what a great day it was. I mean, Andy Murray, what a story, coming back from the surgeries he's had and the complications, and maybe, never playing tennis again, to the point of, 2-0 down a break, down a match point. And what an incredible feat that was to get over the line today. And so many players were actually in the stands watching that match. They came out of their suites, they were wearing their masks, and they were like a bunch of bikies watching the match. And it was incredible.
They did.
It was incredible. But, hats off to Andy Murray. I mean, he's just a superstar.
He really is. And what impressed me the most was his match against Roberto Bautista Agut at the Australian Open last year. Was his most recent Grand Slam match before today. Exact same scoreline in the first 4 sets. 4-6, 4-6, 7-6, 7-6. But then the final set obviously went Andy's way. So absolutely brilliant to see him back. He's such a fighter. To say it's the first time he's ever come back from 2 sets down and saved a match point in his career. And the first time, I think, since 2016 that he's come back from 2-0 down to win. So amazing performance from Andy Murray. Yoshihito Nishioka is a superstar. He's coming back from, he's not really at optimum level yet. He did win a title last year, but an ACL in 2017. He's really just starting to hit his straps again. But the other results today, Serena Williams getting through. Venus ousted by Karolina Muchova, 6-3, 7-5. Daniil Medvedev, no troubles at all against Federico Del Boni. Garbine Muguruza through. Dominic Thiem over Jaime Munar, 7-6, 6-3 with Munar retiring. Sophia Kenin breezing through over Janina Wickmeyer. Madison Keys through. Grigor Dimitrov overcomes Tommy Paul like he couldn't do at the Australian Open. Matteo Berrettini, Amanda Anisimova, Felix Auger-Aliassime also through. Milos Raonic and Sloane Stephens going through. Elise Mertens as well as Joe Konta, Dan Evans. Kim Clijsters, though, she's gone. She fell after being a set up against Ekaterina Alexandrova, 3-6, 5-7, 6-1 in favour of the 21st seeded Russian. She worked Clijsters over in the end and made her move, and that was pretty much it, wasn't it, Marc?
Yeah, it was. And, gee, she can hit a ball, Kim Clijsters still. I mean, amazing to see the way she can strike a ball. Her cleanliness is outstanding. The depth of the ball is amazing. It looked like she ran out of gas towards the end. And, I know she had a stomach issue a few weeks ago where she pulled out of an event and had an abdominal strain. And whether or not that sort of played a part towards the latter stage of that match, I don't think she's played a match of that intensity for that long period of time for a while. And it's a disappointing end because she, I thought after that first set, she was possibly going to take that and knock out a seed, open up her draw and make us look a little bit better, because we did discuss that the veterans in this part of the draw were going to go okay. But, it was a little disappointing to end that way, but she will still be a champion in everybody's eyes.
Well, typical women's tennis, I picked Gauff to get to the quarters, I picked Clijsters to get to the quarters, and they're both gone. So yeah. Thanks, guys. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. I think the one thing also I wanted to mention is Carla Suarez Navarro has been diagnosed with cancer, which is a really sad story to hear. And our thoughts go out to her and her family in this challenging time. And I know that Garbine Muguruza did play her match.
I had not heard horrible news.
Yeah, and dedicate her match to Carla. And there was a lot of well wishes going out all over Twitter. So from us, it's a get well soon. We know that tennis players are resilient people, resilient athletes. We do things that nobody else in other sports can do because of the individualism of what we do in our sport. And I know that she's a fighter and she'll get through whatever comes her way. So best wishes to Carla, and well done, Gubbin. You're on mentioning that you've done or played that match and won that match for her.
Yeah, beautiful words, Marc. And Carla Suarez Navarro, I actually didn't know this until you just said it. I hadn't seen the headlines and reading it now. And really, that's horrible news. And we've seen in tennis that cancer has been such an evil notion in the sport. I remember Elena Baltasha, the former British player, passing away of cancer back a few years ago. And and they had, I think, before Wimbledon, the Rally for Bally to raise money for cancer. So it's just an insipid disease, and hopefully we can find a cure very soon, like COVID. And yeah, we just need to get rid of all this crap that's in the world, because 2020 has not been easy for a lot of people. And Suarez Navarro is one of the most aesthetically pleasing players to watch on the WTA. That one-handed backhand is glorious. So fingers crossed we can see it back very soon. Beautiful words, Marc. But continuing on with the results from this morning, where were we up to? We got to Victoria Azarenka. She's through, as is Frances Tiafoe. Aisha Muhammad, she's fallen. 27 Americans are through to the second round, Marc, but 27 Americans have also fallen. So it's been a 50-50 split for the people from the USA. But I found it really unbelievable that 54 Americans in both draws.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting. I feel like the American system has come a long way in the last 5 to 10 years, and it looks like they've got the right development pathway. We talk about Canada and how they've got some great players coming through. You know, you've got Pospisil and Felix Lisiem, and there's so many players, Raonic and Eugenie Bouchard, and they've had this great influx of players coming through. But the Americans have taken over, and you know, the amount of players they've got coming through shows the consistent development philosophy they do have there. And it's a credit to them. Well done on changing around where they were, 10 or so years ago, and into the point of now, so many players playing in the main draw of a Grand Slam, albeit the wild cards have gone a lot to the Americans due to the hometown advantage there. But, at the end of the day, it's an amazing feat for them to have so many players in the draw.
Yeah, it sure is. And, we've got some of the best prospects in the game are from the USA. But Andrei Rublev also through, Roberto Bautista Agut. A big, big day for the Australians. Alex de Minaur through in straight sets. John Millman through in straight sets. Big wins for them. But Chris O'Connell was the one for me. I almost shed a tear here because, as I said off the top, 89 match wins last year, coming back from all sorts of injuries. He was working, I think he went on Centrelink for a brief period over COVID, and he just said, we spoke to him on Breakpoint, how happy he was to be going to the US Open, just that he's going to be finally rewarded for the year that he had last year. And he's finally won his first Grand Slam main draw match, and I'm absolutely stoked for him. He won in 4 sets over Laszlo Djere. And as a coach, when you're coaching a player that's been that riddled with injuries, how do you try and keep them positive and just say, look, you've got the talent, and how do you try and just instill that into them and give them confidence that they're going to have that ability to come back on tour and have success?
Yeah, that's a tough question because it depends also on the financial capabilities of the athlete. Now, whether or not they can financially continue to play or they can't. This is the hardest thing in this sport. We have to fund ourselves. As players, you're out there and you're paying, day in, day out for your coaching, for your travel, for your, rackets or strings, depending on what kind of ranking you are. And the financial output is incredible. So, where does that, leave a player like Chris O'Connell? I mean, he probably would have doubted himself several times and thought, do I continue this journey or do I not? So, to keep him positive is a really challenging one. If they're able to continue to play and they still want to play, then that's the first step. So, if someone has that will to continue on, the job as a coach is easy because you just focus on the present moment, and then you give them a goal to look towards, and that's about it. But the player has to have the will and the want to do it. And as a coach, it's all I can ask for is a player that has the desire. And then from that, it's very easy to coach anyone that has the desire to play.
Yep. And that's a fantastic answer. And I guess that's what I think you'd want that looking into when you're going to undertake any pupil. That's what are you able to read that very quickly, what desire they have by analysing their patterns and what they do?
You are. And it's interesting because if you don't have that, it's very hard to teach it. It's very hard to instill desire, want, will to win, grit you're born with a lot of those qualities and those characteristics. You can only develop so much around the player having motivation. And as a coach, I've got to find what the motivation is in every athlete to be able to then be able to press a button on them every single time they walk on the court. There were stories of me when I was coaching, and one athlete in particular, every time that she played matches, I'd sit in the stand. She was motivated by money and motivated by getting out of the shadows of her family. And to sit in the stands, every time she looked at me with an upset look, I'd actually do this with my hands. And she'd look at me like, okay, that's right. Because we used to talk about, don't let that girl take the money that you deserve in this match. And she'd be so driven to beat her because she wanted to get out of her family shadow. And it was like, okay, well, that's my little button that I'm pressing every time you walk on the court is, who wants the money? You want it or she wants it? And you got to be willing and have that desire. And that was the button I used to press on this player. But, so many players have that capability, but there's so many players that have the skill but no desire. And it's a real challenge to get that out of them.
Yeah, well, I think if one man beat Tomic, the skills, but doesn't seem like he's got the desire to continue. So there's a few of them out there that we've seen over the years, but just wrapping up the results. Karen Khashinov winning an epic against Yannick Sinner. This one was one that I penciled in the first round as one of a possible classic, and it was Sinner 2-0 up, and Khashinov coming back and winning in a fifth set tiebreaker from 2 down. Beres Vonareva out losing to Fernandez of Canada. And Sumit Nagal, the Indian, getting through to the second round. He pushed Roger Federer to 4 in the opening round last year, and I called him Nadal with a G, just because it's the same name, and looking to have a bit of fun there. But Vasek Pospisil also threw in a tight one over Philip Kohlschreiber, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6 there, and Martin Fucsovics through as well as Maria Sakkari. So a lot of the big seeds getting through, but two players that I want to mention because I'm excited about this second round match. Arina Sabalenka through over Ocean Dodin, and Victoria Azarenka is also through to the second round. She beat Belinda Haas 6-1, 6-2. Get your earplugs out, Mark, because this is going to be the loudest match that you've ever heard. Actually, maybe the 2012 Oz Open final between Sharapova and Azarenka could top that.
Yeah,
but I remember I was sitting watching Barty take on Sabalenka at the 2018 Australian Open and was doing an update for SEN. And the host at the time thought that it sounded like I was watching an adult film because Sabalenka was screaming that loud. And I'm like, no, I promise you, I'm at the tennis court. It's just the grunting is very loud. Look, I'm not a fan of it. And look, grunting, if you're tired, fair enough. It exerts a lot of energy. And I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because I've never been a fan of the absolute screaming at the top of your lungs where you actually have to mute the TV, because to me, it doesn't seem like tennis. And look, I don't mind it when players do it when they're 100% tired, but to do it from the first point of a match, I'm not sure that I'm with that. I'd love to get your thoughts on grunting and where you see it in the game of tennis.
Yeah, well, I'm going to totally disagree with you here, Val. Okay, totally disagree. Firstly, I'm going to mention the fact that we are quite possibly going to have a member of Team Sabalenka on this show over the coming days. So we're going to be treading water as to how we speak about Miss Sabalenka over there.
But I like her game, like her personality, just hate the grunting.
And going on to your grunting, it's actually a topic I love speaking about. And everyone has a crack at the grunting. People that watch the sport and spectate it are like, well, I hate the grunting. I'm going to give you a bit of a flip. Okay, now we think about martial arts. Okay, and when you hear martial arts and you see martial arts, you hear or you think of the Bruce Lee, the yeah. Okay, it's a little bit of an interesting.
I need to get a sound bite of that.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's one side of it. Now, you're always taught in martial arts to exhale through your impact and exhale through your kicking, your punching, whatever it might be. Boxing is no different. You're taught to exhale. Okay, tennis is the same. Exhaling allows your body to relax and allows your body to release the tension through the ball. Now, if I hold my breath for a long period of time, all the tension is held here and I can't release my arm to extend through impact. So what we teach as coaches is the ability to exhale. Now, exhaling can turn into grunting, can turn into multiple levels of volume. Okay, everybody is different. But what we teach is the ability to exhale to enable the athlete to release any tension they're holding through the upper part of their body. right? So you breathe in as the ball is coming and you exhale as you hit, and that is a grunt. Okay, now every single player grunts, but everyone grunts to a different level. So obviously there's differences in the way people do it and the way they were taught, but the way that we teach it is the ability to allow your breathing to let go as you're hitting the ball.
But you don't teach them to absolutely squeal at the top of their lungs to the point where the decibels come out louder than a chainsaw.
No, I don't. Okay. But there is times, and I've got a young girl that I coach at the moment who refuses to breathe. Literally. You can see her face turning blue when she's playing. I'm like, please breathe. Now, I got her doing it loudly so I could hear the breathing. So I get to the point of saying, okay, as you're impacting the ball, I want you to yell the word hit. So you're exhaling through the impact. And I know that you're timing the ball and you're releasing your breathing. So she gets that point of hit as loud as she can and enables me to know that she's exhaling through the ball. Now, that can turn into a habit if you do it often enough. So it is a bit of a catch-22 as to how you teach it, but there is no way I teach the squealing side of it, but the exhaling, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think the squealing side of it is what I hate. Grunting in general is, you're in a fifth set. It's going, you're not going to be quiet because you're playing, say you're playing a 4-hour match. It's not going to be like, okay, I'm still really physically fit. I'm not going to grunt. It's very rare. And Roger Federer is probably one of the only ones, or Leighton Hewitt, that you see not grunting really loudly in a fifth set. But a lot of players do it. But the thing that I have a problem with is the one that is the grunts and squeals that go over the top of the chainsaw in terms of decibel level.
Yeah.
But,
and that's the challenge. Is it the loudness of it? Because if it is, Rafael Nadal's right up there. Or is it the pitch? And that to me is probably the more annoying part, is the pitch. Yeah. Right? So when you hear Nadal do it or you hear a couple of the males, it's a bit different in terms of pitch. But in terms of some of the female players that do it, it's a very high pitch sound. So it can be quite interesting, and you do tend to turn the volume down just a tad on what you're doing.
Just a tad. I turned it down about tenfold. But at least the tennis is still good quality, so that makes it worthwhile. But no, I love that debate, and I love the different viewpoints of it, and it's really interesting to hear your thoughts from a coaching perspective on actually teaching it, and the method to it is absolutely fantastic. So I love that side of things. But I'm looking forward to the match, and if we do get Sabalenka's coach, I promise I will go just completely zip it and just say, so why do you teach her to squeal? So we'll steer massively clear of that. But is there anything that you noticed today, Marc, that you want to bring up from the results of the US Open, and anything that you want to throw forward my way?
Again, a couple of things that really stood out to me was the long matches. Like it's becoming almost a habit of the tournament. So many 5-setters, so many 3-setters. The one thing that I'm going to question is how these players are going to back up the next time that they get on the court. So Andy Murray's a prime example. The guy hasn't played, a 5-setter for a long period of time. How is his body going to handle the rigors of playing another best of 5-set match in the next round? That's going to be the challenge. Yeah.
Bad.
And you look at Daniil Medvedev commented after his match. He said, I'm just so glad to get off the court in such a short space of time. Before midnight, I can go home, I can rest, I can get ready for the next match. Whereas Andy Murray's been out there for such a long period of time. How is he going to back it up? That's the challenge that a lot of these players are going to go through after such a long stint on the sidelines.
Yeah, I agree. And Murray said he was beaten and bruised after that match, and they have an emergency ice bath there, so he got one, which is good.
Yeah, good.
But and the fact with Medvedev, I think he was really pleased to get off the court in such a short amount of time. But what did my head in about that post-match interview is that Brad Gilbert kept cutting him off.
Yeah.
It's like, Brad, we're not here to listen to you. We're here to listen to Daniil to speak.
Yeah.
Come on, mate. It's, we know the Americans can talk a lot, but come on, Brad, just calm down.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good day. And Serena Williams getting through with relative ease. Monica Puig fell, so she doesn't have to play her in the next round, which I think she'd be pretty pleased with. Puig is a very dangerous floater, so Serena would be extremely happy not to have to play her. But tomorrow's matches, Marc, there's some really, really good ones and some big players coming up. Petra Kvitova, Novak Djokovic and Kyle Edmund will face off against each other. Edmund, of course, the 2018 Australian Open semi-finalist. He can do big things at a Grand Slam. Naomi Osaka against Camilla Giorgi, who on her day can upset absolutely anybody. Stefanos Tsitsipas playing Angie Kerber, Alex Zverev, Karolina Pliskova against Caroline Garcia. Massive match there. Denis Shapovalov, Diana Yastremska, Petra Martic, Jennifer Brady and CC Ballas. What a match that will be. Adrian Manarino and Jack Sock, another big match there in the second round for the men. Gilles Simon and Taylor Fritz. It's a smorgasbord at the moment. Lloyd Harris and David Goffin. Cam Norrie against Federico Coria. There are so many matches here that I am really excited about watching.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking day. And, I guess it's tennis people and tennis lovers have just been craving this for so long. 6 months off, and now we finally get to see a Grand Slam. And it's just amazing. And the matches have been incredible. It hasn't let us down at all. Tomorrow's going to be another great day.
It is. Jordan Thompson as well, from an Aussie's point of view. He's up against Gerasimov of Belarus. And then there was another one that I wanted to ask you about. Sevistova versus Mata Kostyuk. So we've spoken a lot about Anastasia Sevistova taking on Coco Gauff. She got her. Another young gun in Mata Kostyuk, who we spoke about yesterday. Who do you see winning that match?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting whether the experience plays out in that match. But Kostyuk's in really good form, and she's obviously starting to really mature as well as a player. And it'll be a really interesting match to watch. I hope Kostyuk, because I know her team quite well and would love to see her, really hit her straps here. But I think it's going to be a real 50-50 ball game. And I'm no predictor. My tips have been horrible, so I ain't going to tip anyone in this match because whoever I do is going to lose. So I'm just going to look for a really interesting match, Val, and hopefully the best player wins.
Yep, agree. Hopefully, look, we just wanted to go 7-6 in the third. I think that's what the more tennis we get, the better. And I think tonight the cameras will be out in New York to see whether Novak Djokovic heads down to the East River and purifies some water before he can take on his next match against Kyle Edmonds. So we'll see what happens there. But Marc Sophoulis, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, wrapping up all things day 2 of the US Open.
Always a pleasure, Val, and great job again, mate. And looking forward to a great day day 3 coming up. It's going to be incredible, and the matches just keep getting better and better.
Looking forward to it. I'll see you tomorrow, Marc. And remember, you can follow The Tennis Menu on social media at The Tennis Menu on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook as well. And remember, you can go to thetennismenu.com for everything you need to do with tennis. Marc has everything up there, coaching drills, blogs on how to be a high-performance coach, anything to do with coaching. He is across it. As I said, he's better than Patrick Moratoglu. So absolutely plenty to get through there in terms of his drills. So brilliantly done by you, Marc. I've been Val Febbo. Hope everybody has a lovely day. Another early morning again tomorrow, tennis fans, but there's some big matches.